Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. A magnet for cold-hearted crooks has been targeted again as thieves tried to ransack a family-owned supermarket. The fourth time the St Leonard's business has been targeted in as many years. Quick-thinking witnesses helped ward off the burglars, but tonight they remain on the run.
Around 10:30 on a sleepy night in St Leonard's, a ute pulls up in the town's main street. With their faces obscured, 2 crooks jump out of the passenger seats as the driver sits and waits. The pair then gets to work, smashing the window of the town's locally owned supermarket and making their way inside. Their target, cigarettes. One hammers the cabinet but fails to crack it open as another, wielding a crowbar, walks anxiously around the counter.
Got upstairs, took my shoes off and then heard a big bang bang. And then the third bang, I heard the alarm go off.
Chef Simon Pike had just finished his shift at the pub across the road when the chaos unfolded. He helped ward off the looters.
I ran down to the end of the hotel and called out and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And then they jumped in the car and drove off.
The business owners declined an interview, saying they were shaken up and frankly fed up with how often they've been targeted. It's the fourth time the supermarket has been held up or broken into in as many years. This time, the thieves got away with only a handful of cigarette lighters, but left their destructive mark. The close-knit community is coming to the store owners' aid, offering to fix their shattered window.
I just feel sorry for them because they're a bunch of lovely people. We just hope that they get caught.
If you can help, contact police. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
A parking brake was still on when a plane failed to take off from Flinders Island last year. Transport safety authorities have determined that was the cause when the Pell airplane was heading down the runway on November 4. Pilots abandoned the takeoff when the aircraft started to veer and couldn't speed up. Flat landing gear tyres and obvious marks on the runway helped investigators work out what went wrong. 25 passengers and 3 crew were on board the flight bound for Wynyard. Well, new data is painting a sobering property picture for Tasmania's north and northeast. CoreLogic figures show the number of sales has slumped by more than 20% compared to last year. Homes in Launceston and the northeast are languishing on the market for more than 2 months compared to just 2 weeks in 2022. Meanwhile, available rental properties in Hobart have returned to pre-pandemic levels. Despite new listings dropping by a fifth last month, they're still almost 40% higher than in 2022. The opposition leader has fired her latest shot at the Liberals, pointing to rumours of another potential exit from the party. Amid the stadium stoush, the government has denied those claims, saying the Premier has the full support of his cabinet.
Dominating discussion beyond the Apple aisle, the hostility being directed towards the AFL deal has senior football figures in a spin.
There has to be a pot of money for sport that exists separate to the money that is needed in education and housing and health. Sport is an essential part of Australian life and it has enormous benefit and great returns.
Labor is ramping up its fight to drag down the Liberals on their stadium stance.
I think it's just a matter of time before they start to crumble further. There's rumours there's another Liberal about to quit.
But the opposition is still refusing to answer whether it will accept potentially losing the AFL team in their fight to see the fine print.
Are you willing to wear the responsibility of losing the Tasmanian AFL team?
Premier Rockcliffe is responsible for this mess. He has the wrong priorities. He stopped listening to Tasmanians.
A year on from her resignation, former Liberal Minister Sarah Courtenay is more than happy to steer clear of the debate.
Oh, well, look, the good thing about not being a politician anymore is I don't need to comment on political matters.
Active polling is currently being undertaken by independent company EMRS on what Tasmanians' voting intentions look like right now. They're also being asked specific questions around whether they'd accept losing an AFL team as a result of no new stadium at Macquarie Point.
We'll work through in terms of providing as much as possible as soon as possible because we want the Tasmanian people to understand why this deal is really important for our state.
When exactly that detail will be delivered remains unclear. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are continuing calls for members of the public to come forward with information on missing teenager Cheyenne Lee Tatnall. Investigators are working on a number of leads after mobile phones located during a major search in the North Esk River were found to be unrelated to her disappearance.
It's the sort of thing that keeps me awake at night. A 14-year-old girl missing is something that every police officer is committed to resolving as quickly as we can.
Cheyenne was last seen on April 30 on the Henry Street Bridge in Launceston. A person of interest is in custody accused of shooting at a Glenorchy property this afternoon. Police say a dark-coloured motorbike with a pillion passenger was seen leaving the address around 2 o'clock. The Westpac rescue helicopter was deployed to help in the search. The motorbike has also been recovered. No injuries have been reported. A driver has been taken to the Launceston General Hospital for observation after his log truck rolled on the Esk Highway at Fingal this afternoon. Drivers are asked to travel via Rossarden Road while the scene is being cleared. Changes have been made to Hobart's urban growth boundary. Planning Minister Michael Ferguson has announced the Southern Tasmanian Regional Land Use Strategy has been amended in 10 areas. Among the changes, a boundary anomaly which stopped the controversial Druthi Point housing development will be removed. The Deputy Premier previously criticised Clarence City Council's decision to reject the proposed Skylands Master Plan. The Greens have slammed the changes, saying it's about sweet deals for a private developer, masquerading as concern for Tasmanians in need. Local shipbuilding company Incat has finished work on one of the world's fastest passenger ferries. The multi-million-dollar vessel has been handed over to its Korean client and branded the Dorado Express at an official naming ceremony.
Cutting the ribbon on a job Incat thought might never see light.
It's been a long time coming. We first started speaking to DAESA about this vessel in 2016. There are a number of options in the world for these types of ferries.
In just 17 months, the Tasmanian company has pulled off a speedy build, with more than 300 employees and 24 new apprentices involved.
This is all part of our plan to grow our economy, create more jobs and ensure the exports from Tasmania on the up.
It's new Korean owners on deck to see how their $50 million was spent. Their CEO voicing his joy through a translator.
He's feeling extremely happy, especially because TASR faced a lot of challenges. As Tim mentioned, there was an issue with the supply chain during COVID.
The engines were 32 weeks late, and we've managed to overcome those challenges, work around the clock.
The state-of-the-art diesel catamaran weighs 167 tonnes and can carry 990 passengers.
She's the fastest vessel we've delivered now for over a decade. She hit 50.2 knots whilst on sea trials. She was contracted to do 45.
The service route that this ship will be put in will be from Pohang, mainland Korea, to Ulleung Island. And the voyage mile is about 117 miles.
The Dorado Express will be leaving Tasmania in the next week. It will take around a fortnight for the captain and his 12 crew members to make it to Korea, with stops in New Guinea, the Philippines and Taiwan to help break up the journey. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A clean and green bus has been launched in Hobart to show support for some of the state's most marginalised people. Kinetic's new electric Pride Bus is helping mark Ida Hobart, the International Day against homophobia, biphobia and transphobia. Decorated with the Pride flag, the design also includes important messaging.
You Are Loved is around, obviously our passengers that catch this service know that it's a beacon of hope and love, and certainly it's around being yourself.
Just a few metres from here 30 years ago, I and others were being arrested simply because we were calling for the decriminalisation of homosexuality. Here today we have a symbol of how far Tasmania has come since then.
The vehicle will travel between Hobart Airport and the CBD 7 days a week, including after Pride Month has wrapped up. A rare fish on the brink of extinction is being given a fresh shot at survival. The red handfish is only found in waters off Tasmania, with just 100 left in the wild. The Foundation for Australia's Most Endangered Species awarding more than $1 million to UTAS over the next 4 years to boost its numbers. Funds will be used for captive breeding, ecosystem restoration and pest species management. Bolstering opportunities for women in the Tasmanian hospitality sector is at the core of an initiative being backed by the industry's leading body. State government funding is supporting the Women in Leadership program, which is offering 15 scholarships to help with professional development for those aged 16 and above.
We understand that there's different needs for different women depending on their personal circumstances and where they live. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're fitting the scholarship to the woman and not having the woman have to fit into a box.
What we want to encourage is, especially women, that there are leadership opportunities and to take those opportunities.
Applications are now open, with more information on how to apply available online. Tasmanians have paid tribute to our state emergency service as part of National Volunteers Week. It comes as first responders team up, urging motorists to slow down and take care while they work to keep us safe.
They're often our unsung heroes. Tasmania's SES crews are some of the first on the front line during floods, search and rescue operations and crashes on our roads.
I don't think people realise just how many of those services outside of the metropolitan areas are provided by volunteers on an annual basis.
Almost 650 volunteers across 37 units provide round-the-clock protection to our community every day of the year. The organisation using Wear Orange Wednesday to plead for motorists to take greater care and drive safely when passing by.
We need our community to slow down and give our first responders that space.
New rules introduced last year require drivers to slow to 40 kilometres an hour when passing emergency services and roadside assistance vehicles. But authorities say more needs to be done.
It was only yesterday that one of our members reported to me they had intercepted a vehicle on a busy street and that vehicles travelling past had not slowed down. And that puts our police officers at risk on the roads.
So far this year, 12 people have died on our roads. But the number of serious crashes has spiked, leaving authorities concerned.
Particularly during this week, we're calling on all motorists to think about their driving behaviour to get home safely for themselves, their families and other road users.
When lights and sirens, yellow, blue or magenta, are flashing, please slow down.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Performing arts royalty has touched down in Launceston as the Australian Musical Theatre Festival gets underway. Iconic composer Andrew Lloyd Webber has given special permission for one of his works to be performed in a unique way for the first time.
It's been done by the great women of music theatre all over the world. Sarah Brightman, Bernadette Peters, all of these incredible women. But for us, he's let us to do it with 9 incredible women.
It's hoped the festival will encourage more theatre lovers to tread the boards.
The young kids that are coming up wanting to get into this industry. So that whole masterclass format, I think, is one of the things that kids will be most excited about.
The event runs until Sunday.
Jacob Chance has announced he will step down as Associate Head Coach of the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. The 29-year-old opted not to take up the 3rd year in his contract and will move on to a new opportunity in the NBL for the upcoming season. The organisation thanking him for his crucial role in assisting Scott Roth and the high-performance team. A process will now begin to replace him. Chas Mostert is back representing the Blue Oval in Tasmania after switching from Holden to Ford for this year's series. He admits to a shaky track record at Symmons Plains, save for a drought-breaking win with his team in 2021. At Invermaid, Chas Mostert was going back to school while his team is doing its homework. Symmons Plains can be unforgiving for crews which flunk the entry exam.
When you're talking less than a second covers the whole field, one little mistake or not getting the setup right, it's really crucial how your weekend of racing is going to go.
Mostert's setup was just right 2 years ago.
But out of the final corner, Chas Mostert finally
He breaks through for the first time since 2019.
His victory not only shattered a 2-year drought, it also ripped the monkey off his new team's back, being his first win with Walkinshaw Andretti United.
The first year we raced together, we couldn't get a win, but the second year we really worked hard on the car, showed a lot of progress, and to win here was something pretty cool.
Since then, Mostert has switched from Holden to Ford. In fact, his career has gone full circle.
For me, it's been a little bit of a homecoming. I represented Ford probably the most in my whole career as a supercars driver.
The last time Ford won here was in 2019 under Dick Johnson Racing. Their hopes lie with Anton De Pasquale and Will Davison and how the Gen 3 cars cope with the high-pressure hairpin.
Big brake and big drive because there's some massive straights, so you want to stop as quick as you can at the end of it and get onto them as fast as possible.
We know this car's a little bit harder on the tyres, but probably haven't quite seen the degradation we all expected.
The true test starts on Friday. The state government has met with the Collingwood Magpies netball team as a $1 million deal hangs in the balance. The club is teetering towards collapse, meaning an agreement to play one pre-season and one regular season game here could go as well.
I know the Minister's asked to be updated by the club. Obviously, we have a great partnership with Collingwood.
Tasmania only signed the 3-year deal in December. It's worth $1.2 million.
Evening, Hobart and Launceston, the same daytime temperature today of 14, but Hobart 6 degrees warmer overnight. Those numbers slightly above expectations, would you believe? Devonport and Burnie 13 degrees. Tunnock started off with a -5 this morning as heavy frost took hold over some parts. St Helens, Friendly Beaches and King Island 14. Flinders Island, Wynyard, Lowhead, Grove and Strawn all 13 and Lyoweeney a top of 6. A clear day over the central, north and east, cloudy over the west with a shower or two involved. Not much in it though. The main feature is the next band of cloud indicating the presence of a cold front and of course it's heading our way. Not much cloud elsewhere. The high pressure system remains over the Bight tomorrow as that cold front approaches from the deep southwest. We expect it to arrive tomorrow evening. West to northwest winds as strong as 20 to 30 knots. They'll shift southerly later in the day. Strong wind warning that's been issued for waters from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. We also have a frost warning again for most susceptible areas as we expect lows of -5 in the central north and Midlands. Tomorrow, 3 overnight for Hobart, late showers and 14 the top, 13 for Cygnet, showers increasing, a morning frost for Norfolk, -2 and 14 the maximum. Launceston, -1 to 14 the range, partly cloudy also for Devonport and 12 the high for Campbelltown after a cold start. Burnie partly cloudy and 14, showery for Strawn and Smithton, also 14 degrees. St Helens a high tomorrow of 15. Sunny for Swansea as well, 15, -3 overnight, -1 overnight for Fingal, 13 tomorrow. On Friday, showers over the west-south and easing from the Bass Strait Islands. The winds picking up on Saturday as showers extend briefly to all areas. And on Sunday, showers decreasing as the sun takes hold over the north and east. Sunny and 26 in Perth tomorrow. A possible shower for Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. But sunny weather further north. Cloudy conditions in Hobart, 8 degrees at the moment, 6 right now in Launceston, clear and 7 in Devonport. Kim, you look a lot more relaxed this evening. The last couple of nights you've been dashing out of here, rushing home so you can get there in time to watch people blowing up balloons. What's going on with that?
It's a great show. Get into it, Murph. That wraps up your local news for this Wednesday. Enjoy your evening. Good night, everyone.